Hey, well, welcome everybody. I'd like to introduce you to not Jay. Not Jay. This is not Jay. This is Suzanne Tickermeyer. She actually hit me up today. She actually has some history on the Laulauries, and she grew up right there in the area. And she's got some things to add to this story. And so I thought she could come up here and sit while I give you all the facts and the chat interacts, and we could have a little more take on it, a little more interesting take on it, because it is a horrible, horrible story. I got to tell you, it is rough. Yes, Suzanne, it was not good. Delphine, yes, Delphine Lalaurie is not a nice woman. She's evil, people. She's evil. Okay, I'm telling you, we're going to go over the history. Yes, Jay does look a little different. I like the way he did his hair today. It's stunning, isn't it? Yes, it is. Hello, Brittany. Welcome. Raven, is he in the basement? Did you just say that Jay's in the basement? He's taped up? What? Oh, you guys are funny. Give him some coffee. He needs some coffee, I think, instead of... And it was like, that's it. Okay. Yeah, he's working on different looks. They're all going with it. I got to tell you, we have the best chat, Suzanne. So enjoy yourself. Because can you see the chat, or I can bring things up for you?
I can bring it. I'll have to put it up.
If there are any questions or anything, I can bring them up for you on here, but they're usually they're a hoot. But he's in the closet. Okay, all right. As long as he's not being too loud. I don't want him to interrupt the show. I know how he gets. But anyway, he's actually, I bet you he's sad about missing this one, because this one gets a lot. Like, there were a lot of people in my DMs about Delphine. I started doing around Mardi Gras. I started doing Louisiana, and I covered Marie Lovett, okay, and I covered the axe murders, and then we went on to even more. Then we covered the voodoo murders, and then we were gonna, when we covered the voodoo murders, we were gonna do Delphine, but we ran out of time. So Delphine, rightly so, gets her own episode, because once I dove into her, she's too much. I'm telling you. I mean, first, let me just bring up the basic facts. First of all, we're talking way back, right? Hello, T King.
Yeah, way back.
Mm-hmm. We are talking.
She did none of that stuff.
Yeah, she should have known better. I'm telling you, Larry. Yeah. She is definitely, Murderpedia does have her down as a serial murderer, because there were so many bodies that they did discover, and they kind of caught her red-handed in the act of at least torture when they first got her. But it was actually after the place burned down that they found all the other evidence of things that she is definitely it could have only really been her definitely going to justice. But unfortunately, she was never brought to justice. The only justice that was done for her is that the mob made her flee the country, and she went to France. And they did burn down that mansion. And they were able then to get justice as far as the discovery of everything else that she did, as far as some of the bodies that they found beneath the house and things like that. But anyway, this goes all the way back to the 1800s. Okay. She was actually born in 1775. Okay. The murders started to happen in 1831. This is well after her 3 marriages. Okay. She's been married 3 times. She was married first to, they don't have it very well here, but LaLaurie was her third husband. Right. So let me just, this other one has it better. Murderpedia, they like to get into the gore of it, but I wanted to get her actual early years. Her first husband was Don Ramon de Lopez y Angula, and she was married 4 years for him, and she had one child with him. And then she married Jean Blanquet in 1808 to 1816. They were married for 8 years. She had 4 children with him before she then married Dr. Leonard Louis Nicholas LaLaurie in 1825. And it's not known if they ever were divorced or not, because she fled the country. And I guess they stopped keeping track of her over there in France. Well, she did have 1 child, a son named Samuel, with the Dr. LaLaurie. Okay. She is actually famous for her torture and possible murder of multiple enslaved persons in the French Quarter mansion of, and she is one of New Orleans' most notorious murderers and women. It's like, she was born Delphine McCarthy in 1787, and she actually grew up really privileged. Her parents, Louise Barthélemy McCarty and Marie Joine Erobel were prominent European Creoles, and they were high up in New Orleans society. Delphine's uncle was the governor of 2 Spanish-American provinces when she was born, and later a cousin would become mayor of the city of New Orleans. So she come from a well-respected family, very high up in society here. At the time of Delphine's childhood, New Orleans and much of the rest of Louisiana was very much under Spanish control still, from 1763 to 1801. In 1800, she married her first hundred, Don Ramon, and he was a highly ranked officer in Spain's Royal Army. It was common for people in those positions to travel to Spain and its other territories, but Don Ramon fell ill within a few years of marriage and died in Havana, leaving Delphine a young widow with a baby. Okay. 4 years after his demise, she married again, this time to a banker named Jean Blanquet. Delphine had 4 children with Blanquet, but he too died young, and she was again a widow in 1816. And Delphine married for the 3rd time and final time in 1825. This time, her husband, Dr. Leonard Louis Nicholas LaLaurie, was quite a bit younger than she was. And the 2 of them moved to a large mansion at 1140 Royal Street in the heart of New Orleans' French Quarter. This lavish home became the site of her violent crimes, and that is known as the LaLaurie Mansion now. Okay. Oh boy. Now we get to the
rumored for years though before they caught her. I mean, as something apparently the neighbors had talked about in great detail.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. Like, because you don't often get anybody who was around, not that you were around then, because of course you're not centuries old. But I mean, like you were saying that your parents would actually tell you stories and would try, and all the neighborhood kids knew about it in the mansion, and it was like a terrorizing kind of event for you to keep you guys in control. I can just imagine. So like they say that there were rumors around there, like before they discovered anything, she had a bad reputation. Is that what you're saying, Suzanne? Like they talked about
that's exactly what I'm saying. I think that's what the display at the Musee Conti said too, that she'd been rumored forever. And I read a book on her once. And she was pretty well known for her cruelty in New Orleans before, but I don't think anybody knew the depths of what was going on until they caught her at it.
I'm telling you, like they said that there are numerous and varied accounts of her treatment of her enslaved people. But what is for certain is that she and her husband did own a number of men and women as property. They had a lot of slaves. Some contemporaries say she never mistreated them in public and in general was civil to African Americans, but it seems as though Delphine had a very dark secret. In the 1830s, rumors began to make their way through the French Quarter, alleging that Delphine and possibly her husband as well were mistreating their enslaved people. While it was common and legal for enslavers to physically discipline the men and women they owned, there were certain guidelines laid out to discourage excessive physical cruelty. Laws were in place to maintain a certain standard of upkeep for enslaved people, but on at least 2 occasions, court representatives went to the LaLaurie home with reminders. So, I guess they were talking, huh, Suzanne? I mean, if they had to be reminded by court officials, I mean, then they knew something was going on.
British South, everybody gossips. So there was no television back then. So that's how you amuse yourself.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like, And it's such a, like, when you think about the deep South there in Louisiana, I always think of mystery and romance, and like everything's all like full of intrigue, and just all the best books that I've ever read come out of there. It is just like very involved. So it's very mysterious anyway, and very like intriguing. What I can't believe, and then some of the most horrific tales are also coming out of there too. I mean, we just did the voodoo murders and the axe murders, and oh my gosh, it's so much going on over there. I couldn't believe that. I thought I was going to do just one episode on Louisiana. It's turned into 3 or 4. But
There's
it
a lot of
just on
weirdness.
the area.
You
Yeah,
look
just
at one of the plantations. I can't remember the name of Roselawn. Roselawn, is that it?
Yeah. Well, we did Claudette Blanabet, the one with the 5 with the axe murders.
Uh-huh.
So she started at 17 years old. Like, we just did her last week too. It just fascinating to me. That so young and terrorized the whole city. It was terrible.
I'll have to
Um,
send you a link to that because the slave named Chloe poisoned the
mhm.
entire family and killed
Yeah.
everybody but the husband.
Hmm.
And I
That's
want to say it was Rosedown,
wow.
Roselawn. Can't remember.
Yeah.
My
No.
brain.
Send it to me. Yeah. I'll tell you, there was a British social theorist, Harriet Martineau, was a contemporary of Delphine's and wrote in 1836 of Delphine's suspected hypocrisy. She related a tale in which a neighbor saw a small child flying across the yard towards the house, and Madame Lalaurie pursuing her, cowhide in hand, until they ended up on the roof. At that, Martineau said, she heard the fall and saw the child taken up, her body bending and limbs hanging as if every bone were broken. At night, she saw the body brought out, a shallow hole dug by the torchlight, and the body covered over. So
Mm.
her own friend, saw this and starts reporting on it. After this incident, an investigation took place and charges of unusual cruelty leveled against Delphine. 9 enslaved people were removed from her home forthwith. However, Delphine managed to use her family's connections to get them all back to Royal
Yeah,
Street.
yeah.
Ugh, of
How it is
course.
in New Orleans,
She's
you
all
know,
connected.
and
That is so wrong. That's just
I
horrible.
know.
Yeah. There were also allegations that she beat her 2 daughters, particularly when they showed any semblance of kindness towards their mother's enslaved people.
Oh.
This is just wrong. In 1834, this is when the fire broke out at the LaLaurie Mansion. It began in the kitchen, and when authorities arrived on the scene, they found a 70-year-old black woman chained to the stove. That's when the truth about Delphine's atrocities came out. The cook told the fire marshal that she had set the fire in order to commit suicide because Delphine kept her chained up all day and punished her for the slightest infraction. In the process of extinguishing the fire and evacuating the house, bystanders broke down the doors to the LaLaurie quarters for enslaved people and found 7 more enslaved people chained to walls, horribly mutilated and tortured. They told investigators they had been there for months. The next day, the New Orleans Bee wrote, and I quote, "Upon entering one of the apartments, the most appalling spectacle met their eyes. 7 slaves, more or less, horribly mutilated, were seen suspended by the neck, with their limbs apparently stretched and torn from one extremity to the other. These slaves were the property of the demon, in the shape of a woman. They had been confined by her for several months in the situation from which they had thus providentially been rescued, and had been merely kept in existence to prolong their suffering and to make them taste all that the most refined cruelty could inflict." Wow. End quote.
Yeah.
Martineau's account, written in 1838, indicates that the enslaved people had been flayed and wore spiked iron collars to prevent movement of the head. When questioned, Delphine's husband told investigators that they needed to just mind their own business. Delphine herself escaped the house, but an angry mob stormed the structure and destroyed it after the discovery of the abused enslaved people was made public. Following the fire, 2 of the rescued enslaved people died from their injuries. In addition, the backyard was excavated and bodies were disinterred. Although
Mm.
one was a child who had fallen from the roof, reports vary as to how many others were buried in the yard. Not much is known about what became of Delphine after the fire. It is suspected that she fled to France, and according to archival records, is believed to have died in Paris in 1849. However, there is a plate on a tomb in New Orleans St. Louis Cemetery 1 that reads Madame Lalaurie, née Marie Delphine McCarthy, décédée à Paris le 7 December 1842, indicating she in fact died 7 years earlier than the French archives would have her. Today, the LaLaurie House is one of New Orleans' most famous attractions. In the past decades, it had served as a home for wayward boys, a school, an apartment building, and even a furniture store. In 2007, Nicholas Cage bought the house. Allegedly, he never even lived in it. Cage lost the home in foreclosure proceedings 2 years later. Although many visitors to New Orleans pass the house and view it from the outside, it is now a private residence and tourists are not permitted inside. They used to do tours of all
Oh,
of that,
yeah.
because I
I've got to
remember
jump in
seeing
here
them
on
all.
Nicolas Cage in New Orleans.
Okay, go
He,
ahead.
he
You
bought
have the
a
floor.
cemetery plot in St. Louis 1 and had constructed this enormous marble pyramid that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have, it sticks out like a sore thumb, like
Yep.
a diamond in a pile of muck.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't fit anything to do. And people in New Orleans have come down with all kinds of crazy theories about him. Rose
Wow.
down.
Yep.
So he's kind of a strange, occasional.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's it. It is. It's just like I can't. I just. It's just fantastical. This story. Delphine is just. I can't believe that it was going on right there underneath everybody's nose, and they actually knew about it, but nobody was doing anything about it. They must have been talking about it like crazy, you know. I just. I don't know. Always Crayful says that Rosedown Plantation that Suzanne was
Rosedale,
speaking
yeah.
about is one of the most haunted locations in the area. There's like so many like haunted areas
That
in
one
that
really
area.
is. And I've spent a lot of time there because my mother loves their restaurant that's
Mm-hmm.
behind the plantation, and the plantation itself is quite haunted.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen things there. I know people who've rented rooms and spent the night and had to leave in the middle of the night because of all the hauntings. It's
Mm-hmm.
a crazy place.
Oh, it is definitely. I'm telling you, like Murderpedia has a little bit of the folklore of some of the things that people were talking about,
Hmm.
Um, there's some, folk histories of the LaLaurie's poor treatment of the slaves circulated in Louisiana during the 19th century and were reprinted in collections of stories by Henry Castellanos and George Washington Cable. Cable's account, not to be confused with his unrelated 1881 novel Madame Delphine, was based on the contemporary stories in newspapers such as New Orleans Bee and The Advisor. And upon Martineau's 1838 account, remember her friend came out and started talking about it. Retrospect of Western travel, but mixed in some synthesis dialogue and supposition entirely of his own creation. In other words, he just like took liberties with the story, I guess that means. Which,
Yes.
like it's a fantastical story. I mean, how many liberties do you actually need to take? It's like pretty gruesome all on its own. After 1945, stories of the LaLaurie slaves became considerably more explicit. Jean de Lavigne, writing in Ghost Stories of the Old New Orleans in 1946, alleged that LaLaurie had a sadistic appetite that seemed never appeased until she had inflicted on one or more of her black servitors some hideous form of torture, and claimed that those who responded to the 1834 fire had found male slaves stark naked, chained to the wall, their eyes gouged out, their fingernails
Oh,
pulled off by the roots. Others had their joints skinned and festering, great holes in their buttocks where the flesh had been sliced away, their ears hanging by shreds, their lips sewn together. Intestines were pulled out and knotted around naked waists. There were holes in skulls. There was a rough stick had been inserted to stir their brains. Dephine did not directly cite any sources for these claims, and they were not supported by the primary sources. I could imagine not. Like, that's like
Yeah,
a yuck. Like,
they pull your
whoa.
intestines out, you die.
Like, exactly. It's not like somebody's gonna come forward and give testimony to that. Like that, I think that's like, I think he just took liberties there. I really do. I mean, that's pretty, yeah. I think that's where they're going with that. He definitely had to take liberties. That would have been
Yeah, he
everywhere.
definitely did.
Yeah.
There's
So
no way.
this story was further polarized and embellished in Journey into Darkness, Ghosts and Vampires of New Orleans in 1998 by Kalila Catherine Smith, the operator of a New Orleans ghost tour business. Smith's
Yeah.
book added several more explicit details to the discoveries allegedly made by rescuers during the 1834 fire, including a victim who obviously had her arms amputated and her skin peeled off in a circular pattern, making her look like a human caterpillar, and another who had her limbs broken and reset at odd angles so she resembled a human crab. Many of the new details in Smith's book were unsourced, while others were not supported by the sources given. It's like it. That's what annoys me about some of this. Like, obviously, these authors who are trying to do historical tour books and to actually, play up on it a little, are making the story even worse than it was, because like there's no
They know that sells.
documentation. Yeah.
Weirdness sells, so they're trying to pump up the story.
Yeah, I mean, like they need to. Isn't it horrible enough with the facts?
It's a
Like
gruesome
that.
one.
Yeah, it annoys me because it's horrible enough the way it is. They do not need to do this. Like, this is annoying me that they're doing this. So I'm going to stop reading about the lies that they're telling here because it's starting to bug me. Well, let's talk about the mansion a little bit. The New Orleans house occupied Dephine at the time of the 1834 house stands today at 1140 Royal Street on the corner of Royal Street and Governor Nichols Street, formerly known as Hospital Street. At 3 stories high, it was described in 1928 as the highest building for squares around, with the result that from the cupola of the roof, one may look out over the view. What's that? The Vieuscar? Is that the name of the street? Vieus is view, the Vieuscar, and see the Mississippi in its crescent before Jackson Street.
Okay.
Oh, Carré. Okay. The View Carré. Okay. That sounds very sexy, actually, Suzanne.
I'm not sure. It's been so long. You have to look that up. Yeah, I don't go home very often, and I forget a lot of this stuff unless I'm using it every day.
Well, I'll let you all know right away. I do not speak French, and if you add a little Creole to that, I have no idea how to pronounce this. Okay, so if anybody does, please feel free to correct me. Send me notes. I'll take them. The entrance to the building bears iron grill work, and the door is carved with an image of Phoebus in his chariot, and with wreaths of flowers and depending garlands in bas relief. Inside, the vestibule is floored in black and white marble, and a curved mahogany-railed staircase runs the full 3 stories of the building. The second floor holds 3 large drawing rooms connected by ornamented sliding doors, whose walls are decorated with plaster rosettes, carved woodwork, black marble mantelpieces, and fluted pilasters. She's always grateful of saying, Suzanne, please teach Claire how to pronounce these Creole and Cajun names. I must have got it wrong.
I'm trying.
Oh, she's trying. She'll get me. Subsequent to LaLaurie's departure from America, the house remained ruined at least until 1836. But at some point prior to 1888, it was unrecognizably restored. And over the following decades, was used as a public high school, a conservatory of music, a tenement, a refuge for young delinquents, a bar, a furniture store, and a luxury apartment building. In April 2007, of course, they're going to say again that Nicholas Page bought it, but he never really did anything with it. It was valued at $3.5 million, and it's been listed at auction as a result of a bank foreclosure and purchased by Regions Financial Corp for $2.3 after Nicholas Cage lost it. But that's where it is now. Now, I do have some. Oh, what is that going off?
Oh, and it is very carré. I was almost Right,
Is
according to the
it
pronunciation.
is Ve Carré, right? Is Carré?
Very
Ve Carré. Okay. So I was
yeah,
close. I'd
close.
get no cigar, but I was close. I was close. All right. Let me see if I can get this one up with the actual pictures of the inside of the house. Because you know what? Delphine is awful. I know, like we talked about what she did. And that's enough of Delphine, actually. The house is exquisite. I would rather show you the house because it is actually quite the mansion. And let me see. Do I have that? Let me see if I can get that up. No, let me get you to see if I can blow this up. You know, they're talking about that beautiful. This is the house. This is the mansion itself. You can see the 3 stories. Now, it does look like it would be a hotel or something, right, Suzanne? When you look here, you know,
That's how
that's how
the
they built them. Yeah.
yeah, that's how they built them. But you're right. Now most of French Quarter has been taken over with hotels and
Mm-hmm.
bars and different things, restaurants. So it
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't be unheard of to have like a solid business on the bottom and a restaurant and or bar on the other 2
Mm-hmm.
stories.
Mm-hmm. And they're saying that this picture was actually before the fire, before the
Okay.
rebuild. So this is in the original structure, and the way it was before the fire, before they burnt it to the ground, you know. And then they talked about inside that the staircase, and let me see if I can blow this up a little bit better for you guys. Wrong way, Claire. Okay. There we go. That's a little bit better. I hate the ads, but there we go. Try to center that for you. Let me see. See what you see. Okay, so you could see the exquisite architecture, the gates, the carvings in the doors. I mean, it's really beautiful. That staircase, look at how wide that is. I don't know, you guys, this is like, to me, this is fascinating. I would have loved to tour the inside of this place. It is just exquisite. Even with these stupid ads that keep popping up.
Yeah.
and I have ad blocker, but it's my freaking Google. I don't know what's going on here with these things. But this is absolutely gorgeous. You know, look at the work on that armoire. But these doors, these are the sliding doors. They have 3 large drawing areas, all with big pocketed doors like this, all carved, and the woodwork and everything is just exquisite. Now, did they build all these back, Suzanne? I'm thinking they did, right? Okay, here's the rebuilt structure. And we'll put this up. And you see, it is quite similar. They
It
did
is.
build it. They built it to character. Okay, but you can see also inside some of the plasterwork remains. They did reproduce a lot of the plasterwork, but it's different. It's not as exquisite. It's not
It is.
the rosettes. It is quite intricate, and they did a fairly decent job, but it's nowhere near what was there. It's nowhere near what was there. The beautiful staircase, although they are actually trying to put it here, it's just not the same. It's
No.
just definitely not the same. It's stupid ads there. Let me just get the staircase up bigger. But you see, we saw the carved door is now a glass door. That's totally different. It would never be these big windows like this. It was
It
much
would
more dark
never
and draped.
be all
No.
white either
No,
like
of
that.
course. Of course, because Delphine wouldn't want anybody to see what she was doing. Like, there was no way. Like, she evil. Like, there was no way there was all this light coming in this house. But it is a beautiful, beautiful building. Okay. Here is one of the other drawing rooms. Okay. Following the renovation, they did do the high-topped windows, that were very famous for the building, as you could see from the outside structure. The ornamentation in the heavy brocade of all of the frames, the mantles, the rich floors, which aren't marble, but really, really dark, high-polished wood, I guess, they did it their best. They did their best for a reconstruction. But, I mean, obviously, they could not get it back to its original, all
Right.
the
And of
way
course,
because
they
of
have
it.
to
Mm-hmm.
modernize it in some weird ways too. They've
Mm-hmm.
got the whole all white theme going
Mm-hmm.
on,
Yeah.
which I don't really
And
care for. And I see a lot of
mhm.
decorating going, oh
I know.
no.
I know. And when you
And in
look, when you,
Laurie's time, you would have
yeah,
used woods. You would have had the varnished woods. You would have not
right.
just had the varnished woods, but you would have had a lot of color. Green
Yeah.
was a particularly popular color among rich
Mm-hmm.
people because green dyes were so hard to get that you would routinely see green wallpaper and window hangings and different things. There wouldn't be any of this white.
Yeah. No, I'll tell you, she was not an unattractive woman. I mean, she got married 3 times. I can imagine, and she was well connected in society.
Mhm.
I'm just, mm. But I'm telling you, she's evil, Suzanne. She's evil. she's, she
Sociopath.
definitely. I'm just, Chris Finn says, why do I have a vision of walking in there and everything being in black and white in real life too? Um, you know, I hear you. It's like, it's very majestic, even in the rebuilt state. But I have to say, like, it would be impossible to get all of that relief that was in the woodwork and everywhere else. It was, her husband was very well connected. They obviously had money. Her husband seems to be of the same mindset as her, but we have no date of death for him. He left. They got married in 18, what did it say, 40, 45, 25? And they have no like divorce, separation or anything like that. We don't know what happened with him. But he obviously was of the mindset. He's the one saying, mind your business if we're beating on our peoples, which was very dismaying. And so it
Yeah,
seems like
but it was
her
pretty
behavior was
common.
encouraged. What? I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
From that time frame, though, beating your slaves wasn't necessarily looked upon as a bad thing. I think what
Right.
sets her apart is that it wasn't the beatings; it was the sadistic torment that she
It
inflicted
is,
on
yeah,
them.
you're right. It just the way that it's bad enough that these people they weren't free and they had to stay there and do whatever, like she said. Do you have to chain the woman to the stove to keep her cooking? Like, no, like that's
No,
just, yeah. And then to beat them and to mistreat them that way. And some of the stories are like, they're everywhere I went. There's more horror stories about it, and they always end the same. Like, this is like, she must have been so horrible in real life that they just had to keep making up stories about her to make it worse and worse, because like she just must have hit everybody the wrong way. Of course she did with what she did, because they all end with, but we could not talk to the source, or the source is undocumented, or like, there's no proof of this story, it's just a story. And I'm like, well, why are you telling it? Like, there's no proof of it. And it's get more and more fantastical as it goes. It's like one of those legends. But she is absolutely the most horrible woman in the history of Louisiana. She takes the cake. She definitely gets the prize for being the absolute most evil. I mean, not even the Voodoo Queen. Now, the Voodoo Queen, there were rumors about her, but she did good. Remember when we talked about Marie? She did good to the around. She, took money from the rich, but she always took care of the poor. And she did good deeds for the poor at the same time that they were saying that she was evil and putting on spells and, you know, doing things that weren't so nice. Definitely she had a good side to her. Nobody ever talks about the good side of Delphine. I can't find anything good on Delphine anywhere. Nobody says a kind word about Delphine anywhere. She was just not a nice person. She beat her own children the way she beat her slaves.
hmm.
It's, it was like everybody, like if you were in Delphine's circle, she owned you. And when she owned you, she did what she wanted with you. Not nice enough. Yes, right. I was reading that. Always grateful. She even tormented her own children, especially when their
Yes.
children. They did make comments. Even in Murderpedia and several of the articles have all stated that whenever that the children were getting opposed to how she was treating people, and then whenever they spoke up, they also would be tortured, about it. You know. She is just a bit cray cray, yes, Pure evil. I agree. I agree. The I don't know. You know what? It is beautiful, Christoph. I would not live there. No, just what happened there alone would creep me out. Like just the fact, even
Can
though
you
they burnt
imagine
down. Yeah.
the psychic energy in that building? It must be
I don't want to
very
think about
negative
that.
and off the charts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not very I'm not very like woke that way. Like I like believe very much in the spirits or anything. I do believe in kinetic energy and all of that, but as far as spirits, I would hope not, because that would be one of the places with all that horrible stuff going on that would be torturous for people, like the
Yeah.
living, to be anywhere near. I would imagine if there is such a thing as tortured souls, that's where they would be, right? Because all
Yeah.
those
You think
horrible
so?
things that would happen. I don't even want to think about like something like that. But there are plenty of rumors. Like also New Orleans is supposed to be one of the most haunted places in the world.
It is.
Just in general. Just
Yeah.
walking, like I remember reading stories about just walking down the street in daylight and walking upon apparitions and weird things happening and stuff like that. There's fantastical tales about New Orleans, like everywhere. It's just a mystical, magical place, I guess. It's got like so much going on. I mean, I love just the way the streets, like many of the streets, just lined with those trees, those eerie looking trees with the moss.
Live
And
oaks with the moss. Yeah.
and it just adds such romance to it, and then with the romance, such mysticism, and just that eerie, at night, that mystical look. And then you've got the music in the streets, and all of that, in the big wide porches with people out there with parties and things, and tinkling of glasses and all of that going on, all the time. That's the
So
books I
hard to
read.
be a
Old,
shower. I
old,
have
old romantic historical romance, like that's the stuff I was reading when I was younger. But let's see. Krabby says, seriously, that attitude was maintained straight through to my childhood. Mind your own business, and I have plenty of horror stories I hope I never disclose. I understand. I do. Yep, we all do. It's just mind your business. And thankfully that doesn't really fly anymore.
yeah, not now.
The old "I created you and I can kill you" attitude is awful. Some people should not procreate. I agree. I agree.
Yep.
Um, didn't she torture and burn one of the slaves' children? I thought I read that. She burned the child in the courtyard. I did read about a burning child. I don't know if it was in the courtyard. I did read the story about the child that flew off the roof, right in front of people in broad daylight. She did this one, and then buried the child in the evening, and two witnesses. Hello, Josh. Welcome. Mhm. Yes, Shay, I know. I would just like to look at the pictures, because after Suzanne's telling me how haunted it is, I want to go there anyway. Just be creeped out in
Stupid
general.
hot.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
stupid hot there. You really don't want to go if you don't have to.
Not me. I
Um,
burn in the shade. I gotta stay in temperate weather. Like,
well, I was driving through Tamarindo earlier and counting all the sunburned gringos. That's always fun.
Mhm. Yeah. Oh, were you? Like, yeah,
Yeah,
everybody with little red and pink patches all over them, all over the place. Whether
huge red patches. I always laugh and do the count when I'm coming through town. Look
Mhm.
at the tourists; they're all walking the street.
Mm. So, Suzanne, do you remember any of the stories your parents told you to terrorize you into behaving? Do you
Oh
have
my
one?
God, so many, so many.
Look.
When I was like 5 or 6, my parents took me to the Musee Conti, which is the old wax museum. It's not open
Mhm.
right now. I don't know if they closed because of COVID or what happened, but they're not open now. And it's an the displays, I'm just going to tell you, are the history of New Orleans, and they're horrific. I don't know who designed it, but they put in stuff like bellows to make it seem like that some of the wax figures were breathing, turning their heads, that sort of thing. And it was uncomfortable scenery, like the Battle of New Orleans with all these soldiers shooting each other and blood and all of that. And they also had a large Madame Lalaurie display, showed her in a attic beating her slaves, and her poor slaves are the most pathetic looking things you'd ever see.
Oh.
So when I was like 6, that really made an impression on me to the point that every time I acted up, my father would tell me
Mm-hmm.
that he was going to take me to the house and drop me off. And he knew that I would freak out. That was freak out time for me because I knew
Mm-hmm.
damn good and well I didn't want to go be beaten by this crazy woman,
No,
even though I
no,
was
I would
too young to
imagine.
know the history, you know.
I was like, I mean, can you imagine? Like, she's like the reason that like children everywhere are behaving because the parents are using Delphine Lalaurie to keep you in line. Like, she's that
Like
bad.
the
She's
local
that evil.
boogeyman.
Yeah, the local boogeyman. That's a good way to put it. She was the boogie woman, like awful, just the evil queen. You know, they called her the cruel mistress of the LaLaurie Mansion. Every article I read would start out with that. They would say Dephine
Yeah,
Lalaurie, the cruel mistress
the
of the
cruel
Laulaurie
mistress.
Mansion.
You are.
Cruel and Delphine, like they just that was the word used to describe her over and over again in everything that I read, and it's apparently it was so. Luckily, from the people that they did find alive, it's a shame that 2 of them did pass away. Many of them are disfigured for life, and also have horrible, horrible memories of torture and abuse that they need to live with, but they were alive. At least, they did survive. But
Wonder if they're
then they
free. Is there
hmm?
any of the articles? I wonder if the slaves
No,
that they
no,
emancipated.
I could find no emancipations. I was looking for them. I did not find any emancipations, but it could be that they just went to other home, like other places, and perhaps better taken care of. Or another common thing would be that they worked at the hospitals,
Yeah.
in the kitchens and things like that. They would have taken them in the general area for in the town somewhere, if not taken in privately. But because the mob came and took care of this, it does appear as if they took care of the people that they found too. Like they did take care of them to the point that they made sure that they were safe and they had another place. But it does not say that they were emancipated in any way. I don't think that happened. It was too soon. It was too entrenched, I think, at the
Well,
time.
they always
I,
had a large population of freed blacks, so it
mm-mm.
wouldn't have been impossible. But at the same time, you have to understand that the slaves that were bought and sold could run several $1,000s. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that
they
was
could.
what was so
Mm-hmm.
unusual about her. She was
Mm-hmm.
beating up valuable assets.
Yeah, she didn't seem to care, and it's actually because her family was so connected, she was getting away with it. But it was actually something they tried to hide because they were very embarrassed about it. It doesn't go over well. She had family that were in politics. It was not a good thing. They had laws against this at the time. You were supposed to treat your what they called your assets, your people, which is so horrible to call
It is.
to say that. But they did have laws to protect them as far as they could not be mistreated. So I'm wondering if that time, if there was a group of freed slaves at the time, free men. I wonder if they took some of them in because they could do that too. You know,
Yeah.
I wonder if they did, but I don't see that they were emancipated in that way.
No, I've
Uh,
tried to research it several times, and I've never found
mhm.
that they were
No.
emancipated, which is, like I
Mm-mm.
said, it's tragic because it was one of the cities with the highest population of freed African
Mhm.
Americans in the
Mhm.
U.S.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, the wax museum that Suzanne mentions actually has a huge display for Delphine of the torture, like of a torture display there, which is kind of creepy. Like of all the things I
That
would want
is,
to see, I don't want to see that. you know.
all of their displays are bizarre. It's
Mm-hmm.
just they're on YouTube, and it looks okay on YouTube. But if you're there and that stuff is moving, they got everything
Right.
on,
Right.
and
Yeah.
it's dimly lit. Oh my goodness!
Mm-hmm. I after the after we're done with the live, I will link the video that Suzanne sent me of the of the museum down there for you guys, for the WAC Museum, if you'd like to see it. All of the articles that I found that were basically had a lot of information all in one place. I linked a few of those, and also a couple of the videos showing the inside of the LaLaurie Mansion, the article that I read, plus a couple of videos from YouTube. I'm not going to play them because I did get a DCM strike for playing a small little video the other day, and I don't want to.
Oh,
I want to put, not that they did anything. It's just that they said I couldn't play it in certain countries. It was when
yeah.
I did the Norwegian metal band, and I played an interview from one of the guys in Austria and Switzerland and Germany. Don't like that guy. They don't want to hear from him. Like they were like, woof, banned. Like I couldn't play it. So, but I'm not monetized, so it doesn't really matter for that. But
Yeah.
I don't know if like having all of these DCMAs where the advertisements gets claimed, I don't know if that's going to affect my chances of becoming part of the program, and affecting, getting members and stuff. So we'll see.
I don't know.
Well,
I had to wait a long time to get monetized. Being in Costa Rica wasn't as easy as just putting in a few
no,
hours,
yeah,
and getting 1,000. It's difficult.
no, I didn't know that. If it was a different country, it was different. Look, I know my friend just became monetized the other day. Commentary Kelly, she got
Hmm.
up to 1,000, and so she got her email already, so she's in the process. So I guess we'll see how long it actually takes, because they got the email to her pretty quick. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping, for
But she's
her,
in the States, so she
you know,
should be able to get
yeah,
monetized
yeah,
no problem.
yeah. Yeah, I have all my watch hours. It's subscribers, because like I do gain
Um,
subscribers all the time, but it's slow going a little bit here because I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I'm a little all over the place with my content,
I'm
but
not either. I'm not growing
yeah,
at the rate that
mhm,
people like Recaps with Bobby or some of the people have grown,
mhm.
and I'm
you
fine
know,
with that. I
because
mean,
I
my
didn't want to
weird
come out and do it. I
Yeah,
didn't want to
my
come out and do
weird will
Katie.
reach
Yeah,
out to the people that
exactly.
are appeal to that. So I'm not
I
worried
hear
about
you.
it.
I will hear you. I hear you, because I found my little group of murder minions, and I have my mayhem group. I have my oh my god group for that one during the week in the middle of the night, where we talk about the larger commentary channels and YouTube and stuff, and Twitter, shenanigans that's going on with the larger ones.
Yeah.
Yes, I was, Crystal. I was banned from whole ass countries. I was. My video was, but I got it back. I got it back. I did. I'm just not able to be seen in Austria, German, and Switzerland. Just the one video, the Norwegian metal band, the one about mayhem for the murders. Thank you, Shay. Thank you very much. That's a nice compliment. And it is funny, Cristola, that I got banned in certain countries. It is.
Mm.
Because Christmas time, I rickrolled Aaron, and I didn't get banned for that, but they did take the advertising. But when I played NBC's Saturday night version of Sweaty Balls,
Yeah.
they took my video. NBC was serious. They said, "Oh no, girl. Oh no, you don't. You do not get to
NBC does
play
not
this."
play.
They don't play. They took my video and said, "You cut it, or we're not giving it back." I was like,
Uh,
"Damn, okay." They like internationally banned me everywhere for that one, Cristola. I'm a bad girl. You two don't know me. They don't know me. They don't mess. Yes, whole countries.
yeah.
Stop,
Whole
guys.
ass
It's
countries. We're gonna
it
have to get you a
sounds.
T-shirt that says "Banned in Whole Ass
Listen,
Countries."
listen, it sounds worse than it is. Seriously, it
I
does.
know.
It does. It's really not that bad. Like, don't go crazy, guys. It's really not that
Uh,
bad. But it's really
funny.
not. But you know what I wanted to tell you. Jack Osmond. Ozzy Osbourne's son, Jack. He does
Yeah.
a show called Portals to Hell. They did the LaLaurie Mansion. They stayed there. They did
Wow.
that's on YouTube too, if you guys want to catch it out. If you want, it's called, Portals to Hell, and it's Jack Osmond, and I forget the young lady. I think her name is Katrina. I'm not sure, but it could be Katrina that he does the show with, and they stayed at the LaLaurie Mansion and did a whole episode. It was pretty lit.
Mm.
I actually watched that too. Maybe I will link that one for you if you guys are interested. I'll link that one down for you too. But since it wasn't like truth based, I didn't link it in the beginning because I like to get the facts out here about the case first before we extrapolate with all the extra stuff, and things like that. Mrs. Cassandra, you're out and about. You're not exactly in the basement right now. You know. You know. That's it. Shay's gonna cancel. Wait, Shay's gonna cancel the Peacock channel for striking my bear. they didn't actually strike me. When you get a DCMA, I think I'm saying it right. All they do is take your advertising revenue. They let you play the video usually. Although NBC, the Peacock, didn't even want to do that. They just said you can't play it at all. Like if you want to play this video, you have to remove it. And so they internationally banned it so that I couldn't play the video at all anywhere. Yep.
That's wild.
Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you'd think it was only a 2-minute clip too. You think that they would just like want the press, want the PR. Yeah. And I did list it in the description and everything. I gave them full credit, but no, they don't play. They don't play. They were like, nope, Miss Bear, you cannot do that. But NBC trying to take a petty crown. Yes, I believe it, Shay. They were being petty about it. They definitely were.
I was petty to them once.
No, they do. That's like that with music on YouTube too. Well,
yeah, it
is. Is there anything else that you would like to tell us about this wonderful story with all your Louisiana experience there? I think it's so cool you grew up there.
Not really, other than she was used to strike terror in kids in my day.
Yeah, she's the boogeyman.
So bizarre.
Yeah. When you told me that, I was like, that is like so cool. Like I was just like, come on.
Parents
like,
were
personal.
Rather my father was a bank vice president who was a clown on the side. So I've got millions of stories about him in Louisiana and New Orleans area, Bayou Manchac.
Right.
Just all sorts of stuff. Because while he was a bank manager / clown, he was also into pretty much anything you could imagine.
Oh, wow. No, it just blows me away. I just like, she's still, I wonder now if people still, I guess you could. The story is so fantastical that I think all over Louisiana, they're probably still using her to terrorize children into behaving. Like, we'll get Dephine after you. Like, it's like, I don't know. If you read the story, it's just crazy. She's just awful. I can't say the word awful enough. And I didn't even want to give her props about her childhood or any of that. But she should have known better. She was raised well in society. Yeah. She had money. She had children. She had a whole bunch of children. She'd been married 3 times. She was not an unattractive or well progressing woman. I mean, she didn't have a hard life at all. Look at the home. And look at the area that she lived in and all that. She was, her family was well-to-do in society. She did not be this way. And just some people are just wrong. There's just everything wrong about her.
It's kind of funny. When I was an adult and my kids were like 9, 10, whatever, we went back to the Musee Conti. I took them through it. But I made sure they were older than I was when I was the first time. And we were looking at the displays. My kids are bored. They don't think it's that scary. And I'm looking at it now going, why was I so frightened? There's nothing here that looks real.
But when you're little and those wax, I think just the idea of wax dummies when I was younger would be terrifying to me. Like you don't know, like, they make them so
were
realistic.
Pretty realistic looking.
Yeah,
they do. Glass eyes and things.
Yeah. Hey Jamal, welcome. I'm just I don't know. I'm fascinated as to why they're saying in France that she died in 45, but why over here in the Louisiana in the cemetery they're saying 41. And they have her name and everything. And they have it in French on the tombstone for 41. And how did she get back here and who buried her? Mystery. I tried to find it. Like that kind of intrigued me because I was trying to look for more on that because the French actually have a record. Like they have a record of her death. Like they put it in the archives. Like why would they mess it up?
I wonder if there is a record of her death with the Catholic Church because they do keep extensive records. We were able to trace some things from my husband's family in Germany using the Catholic Church records. They had all these records.
Hmm.
The other thing is the St. Louis 1, St. Louis 2.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, but I can't remember the name of some of the other cemeteries in the area. They're closed. They're closed to the public because of vandalism.
Oh,
So
yes.
it's not even possible to go in there and look around unless you join a legitimate
Mm-hmm.
tour
Yeah.
group,
Yeah.
the
Well,
guide.
I know there's been a lot of damage to the cemeteries and everything from
They've taken a lot of the
different group. Yeah.
statuary.
Right. It's terrible what they do. And so a lot of it was beautiful and it's historical and that's just not right to desecrate
Well, there's
in
still
that way.
nice
Hmm.
graveyards like the Saint Roche. That
Hmm.
graveyard is pretty
Hmm.
awesome, and nobody's taken any of the statuary yet. So there are things to see. But if you
Hmm.
come to the Catholic cemetery there in New Orleans, you can find it is closed and locked to everybody except the family members of the dead or a
Hmm.
tour group.
I wonder. I wonder. I don't know. I don't know what tags you're talking about, Christola. Uh, I don't know. You mean your name? Well, no, mine isn't coming up either. You know what? You're right. Like even mine doesn't come up on. I don't know. It might be a YouTube thing today. YouTube might be YouTubing. you
Yeah.
know, Yeah, they might be doing their thing. Messing with us. Doing what they do. Every once in a while. But you don't know. Yeah. Anyway, on that, Suzanne, do you have anything coming up you want to tell them about? We're like on an hour
Oh,
here,
I'm
so.
probably going to do a stream tomorrow where I'm going to explain what happened when I met the Duggars.
Wow. When you
Yeah,
met the Duggars? Okay,
yeah, I went to
everybody.
one of the book
That's it.
signings and
Yeah.
came away
Oh,
with some ideas. And
mm.
somebody stole those ideas to use
See, I
after
wonder
I
who
went
that
to
was. I wonder if they'll show up in your stream since you put the Duggar in the title and like she goes everywhere that is. I don't know.
bed.
You think she
I don't
will? Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Oh, it'll be interesting. That would be interesting. But yeah, we just have to put something interesting out. Put some baited little tidbit out there for her to steal and run away with because
She already
she's so
knows the
good at
whole
it.
story because she's already
I know.
used a lot of my
I'm
story when I met the
she.
Douglas too.
Mhm. I'm telling you, this is just YouTube is pranking us. And Krabby, I'm sorry that your computer's acting up like that. Makes you wonder. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why the tags aren't showing. But on that, I'm gonna be heading over to Kelly's for a video on the Dad's Pod Challenge, and she'll be doing that at 9:30. And then I'm going to have Johnny Depp again on Wednesday. We're going to be talking about what happened in Australia with the dogs, and also some more of the podcast came out, and there's some more evidence that came forward that we're going to be talking about. Mandy's going to be joining me at 10 o'clock on Wednesday. And until then, I'm going to sign off. This was fun. Delphine's a
Yep.
mess. I'm glad you all were here to talk about it because, I don't want to talk about her anymore. She's a horrible, horrible person. I'd rather
Yeah.
talk about the mansion. The mansion was exquisite, and Delphine did not deserve to live there. She's the evil, evil one. Oh, God. I can't even believe what she did to those people. It's just terrible. But, so we're going to put Delphine to rest. That's it. She's done with. That's it. I'm done with her, and we'll put her away. I will link a few things. I will put the museum link. Well, I'll get it from the Suzanne's message to me, and I'll put it down there. I'll also link, just for some fun, the Portals to Hell video. So you guys can find it because that was kind of interesting. If you're
I
into
bet it was.
like Suzanne said, the scary part of it, like they kind of think that it's kind of haunted, and they kind of thought so too because they were there. So Shay, Johnny Depp in eyeliner is a great combo. You know what? I'm gonna put him in eyeliner for the thumbnail. There you go. I'm gonna make it afterwards. I'll find a great picture because I find the best pictures of Johnny Depp lately. Like, they're really good. I decided not to put Amber on any of the thumbnails anymore. I'm so done with her. I really am. I am. I'm very biased about my coverage in this case, Suzanne, just in case you didn't know.
I noticed
like,
that.
yeah,
This is
yeah,
one of
yeah.
those coverages, one of those subjects that I don't even care about it at all. I'm kind of like
Mm-mm.
indifferent. Now, if it
Yeah.
was Jason Momoa, it might be a different story altogether.
Well, he is quite a honk, but no, I'm justice for Johnny right now. It's not so much what he looks like or anything. It's just the fact that
Right.
without even being proven guilty, a man's complete career was stripped from him.
Mm.
And it should not be that way. I'm sorry. There should be a process. And also because it wasn't like a guarantee, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's right. I don't think what happened was fair. So yeah, I'm a little biased in my coverage because of that. But there we go. But at least I admit it. Like, I'm not out there trying to
Yeah.
pretend I'm all equal.
Right. Right.
No, I don't like the way Amber, in my humble opinion, hijacked that movement to get a great divorce because she's just an entitled little spoiled brat. Sorry, not sorry. Well, that's where I am with it. I don't claim to be unbiased about it. I will read the legal reports. I do read her side, but she's had to retract like 11 of his statements for corrections.
Yeah.
Like, there's definitely something going on there, that's not exactly right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we'll see. But on that, we're gonna sign off. Thank you so much for joining
Okay.
Suzanne, and adding that personal
You're
touch
welcome.
to Delphine's horrific story. I mean, we had to add something a little nice there, like the tour of the house and Suzanne's little tidbits there, because Delphine's she a hot mess. She a horrible, horrible person. And like, if I had known as much, I don't think I would have talked about her, to tell you the truth. I really don't. She's that bad. She's really that bad. But may she stay wherever she is, buried deep and out of everybody's hair. Like, on that, I say good night. Thank you again, Suzanne, and everybody in chat. We'll see you soon.
See you
Thank
later.
you. And bye.